Okay, so this is what we're starting with. It is the Dior pillow that they send you when you have something more fragile in your box, so that way it doesn't get broken. So it's just a very thin, kind of unusable pillow. I mean, it's really not made to be a decorative pillow. It's made just for shipping. They usually come folded like this, just to kind of keep in whatever they don't want to get broken. So that's what we're going to start with, this cute little flat pillow. I'm going to tear it apart and then I'm going to embroider on the front. I'll show you along the way and then you'll get to see the finished product. Okay, so you can kind of see inside. There's no other lining. It's just the filling. So you have just the fabric and the filling. So I'm going to carry on. I'm going to keep steam ripping this and then we will take it apart and iron it and then start to embroider. It's kind of gross. I mean, I know that it's just filling, but I don't know. It just looks kind of gross. Okay, so I have these both ironed and I'm going to do what's called a float embroidery. So I'm actually going to put the stabilizer on here and then I'm actually going to use the spray adhesive to stick my fabric to the stabilizer, and this is going to float freely on the top because I don't want to put the fabric in the hoop and then have the shape of the hoop in the fabric because it does not always iron out. And I feel like with this fabric, it may not iron out. So I'm going to float my design while I embroider. All right, so it is done sewing. Let's take this out. Okay, so that was not very long for you, but it was almost 3 hours for me. So this is the front of the pillow, and then I left the back just plain. It still has the Dior tag. However, I did go ahead and cut another piece of white fabric just to make this pillow thicker because this Dior fabric is very, very thin. Of course, it's not meant to be a regular pillow. So that's just a little Dior tag. I did leave that on there. Again, another layer of white fabric that I had in my backstock. So we are just going to put that together, but I do have to thread my machine. I had to put my machine back together because I had to take off the embroidery part and turn this back into the sewing machine. So I'm going to just thread it and then I will be right back and we will start sewing. Alright, so if you sew, then you know you have to do the right sides together so that way when you flip your pillowcase inside out, everything is laying the correct way. So I'm just going to do face to face and then I'm just going to sew seam on both or all four sides and then I will flip it out and show you what it looks like. So I'll be right back. Alright, so that is all sewn up now, and then I did trim off the corners. That just helps your pillow have a better squared corner when you flip it inside out so you don't have all that extra fabric in the corners. So, a couple little loose strings, trim those up. I mean, it doesn't really matter, nobody's going to see it, but I just like to have a nice clean finished project. And then I didn't show you, but I did leave the center portion of just one side open so that way I can flip this pillow inside out and then we can stuff it, and then I will just hand sew that little last bit up. So let's flip this inside out. Now I did leave a very small seam allowance in there, you know, off of the seam allowance, so that way when I do have to hand trim this, it's not going to be as much stitching as if I left a larger space. So we can just kind of see some of that pattern coming out that I embroidered. And I will iron this one more time before I fill it because I did notice that this Dior fabric does get very wrinkly. And with me pinching and pulling on this, it's going to be even more so. Now, would this be easier if I had left a larger gap? Yes, but I didn't want to have to hand sew that much. So it is fighting me a little bit because I have 2 layers of fabric now. All right, let me get these straightened out and ironed and I will be right back. Oh my gosh, how cute is that? I'm loving it. Okay, I'll be right back. All ironed and ready to be stuffed. It still has the original Dior tag on the back. I wanted to leave it as original as possible and just add my little touch to it. So let's get filling. So we've got just some polyfill. I always have this on hand because I think I've told you in a couple of videos now that the majority of my sewing before Dior was pillows. So I'm really, really comfortable making pillows, and so I always have the fiber fill on hand. I think this will just make a nice, full, soft pillow versus that stuffing that was in here originally that was just kind of flat and not very nice. So I think this will be a little bit nicer. Okay, so now I have it filled to where I like it, and then I'm just going to stitch up this top part by hand, and then it will be all done. All right, there you have it. My little pillow is all done with the original Dior label on the back, and then the original Christian Dior Paris right there, and then my little added bonus of the embroidery. All right, well, let me know what you guys think. It was definitely a very long process just because the embroidery takes a long time, but I'm super happy with how it turned out. And it's a great idea if you get one of these little pillows with your shipment, you can always turn it into something that you like and keep it. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.